Check out this super spooky snake right here. Hey you all, Carpetbagger here, coming to you live from the south, more specifically Estero, Florida. And I am at the Koreshan State Park. And I wanted to talk about a fascinating cult that used to exist on this property. Now this cult was called the Koreshan Unity Settlement. It was started by a man named Cyrus Teed. Now, there's a lot of different things you can start a cult around, but this cult was started on one principle, and that is the earth is hollow. That we are not a ball, well, we are a ball, but we're not rotating around the sun. Instead, it is reversed. We are living on the inside of the shell, and I guess space is inside the earth. Did I explain that well enough? Does that make any sense? It's okay if it doesn't make any sense. So Cyrus decided that he was going to start this cult in Florida, and he gathered followers to this settlement here. Now, he also threw in another little part, and that he was the Messiah. That he was the Messiah, that he was Jesus, I guess. So he would go on to claim that he had proven that the earth was hollow. He had a device that he walked along the beach, measured the ground. I guess it was like a level. He proved that it wasn't level. And he stuck to his guns and said that the earth was hollow. And this occurred in the early 1900s. And so he gathered his followers here, and Cyrus would eventually pass away. And his followers felt that he would come back. Like Jesus, like the Messiah, he would return. So they placed him on an altar, and they sat around him, had a wake. But unfortunately, he just rotted. He got really dirty, stinky. They sat around him for over a week while he decomposed, and finally they decided that, well, actually they didn't decide. I think the local health inspector said they can't keep a rotting corpse just sitting around, and so they forced the cult to bury him. And then apparently they buried him too close to the water, and a hurricane came and took his body. Now, what became of the rest of the cult? Well, they passed away slowly. And the thing is, Cyrus did not believe in sex. He thought sex was evil, and that no one in the cult should have sex. Sounds like a fun group. So they did not have sex. And then because of that, they did not reproduce. So very hard to keep a cult going when you can't have children to insert into the cult. The only way you can get new members is to recruit them. And they actually, believe it or not, the cult lasted until the 1960s when the final member died out. So now this has become a state park where they celebrate the life and times of Cyrus Teed. Now you notice that the Koreshan State Park, that name might sound familiar. And yes, it is the same as David Koresh. Cyrus would pick that name out of the Bible as the Messiah, and much like David Koresh would later do, David Koresh would give himself that name at the Waco Branch Davidian compound, which that was a cult that there were some problems with, some fire, some explosions. This seemed to be a nice, peaceful cult. They lived out here in Florida, did their own thing, talked about the earth being hollow, and just enjoyed themselves. Now some of these buildings are left open. Oh, caution, glass. So yeah, just a nice normal cult. There's a little birdie there in the corner. There's a picture of old Koresh or Cyrus there on the writing table. Here they'd watch their TV, eat their star fruit, and listen to records. There's a little area where they can cook and do things, and you can see their culty robes hanging out back there. Now while David Koresh would make his money by gun running, Cyrus Teed Koresh to make his money by baking cookies. This is the bakery, and this was the main way that the cult made money. This really does seem like one of the chillest cults I've ever come across. Here's Cyrus Teed's sitting room. I notice there's a bust of Napoleon and a drawing of Napoleon. Wonder if he had some sort of Napoleonic complex. This is a telescope they use here at the cult, where they actually believe they were looking at the inside of the earth. Because if you point the telescope up, you'll just see the opposite side of the earth. One of the strangest footnotes connected with this cult is that they were actually investigated by Nazi scientists. See, the Nazis, they looked into the occult, they looked into all sorts of things, anything that they felt could give them an advantage. So they actually looked in to Cyrus Teed's ideals to see literally if they could spy on people from inside the earth. So if you got on the opposite side of the world as America, you could look across the inside of the hollow earth and spy on them. That's crazy. This was a grocery store, nothing like a grocery store run by a cult. Some of the things they would serve was that frosty root beer and something called patio. All right, the church here is normally locked, but this nice gentleman's gonna let me in to film for a second. Here is a cast of Cyrus Teed's hand. This is truly amazing. This is the hollow earth globe, as you can see. It's got kind of like the space and stars in the middle, and it closes around it with an inverted version of the globe that we are familiar with. Here's the vest of Cyrus Teed with his white scarf. Alright, I'm no math expert, but this is the correction premise. A straight line extended at a right angle from a perpendicular post will meet the surface of the earth at the distance proportionate to the height of the perpendicular. And that means the earth is hollow. Does anyone get that? No, his survey equipment says hollow earth. This device is called the rectilineator. Is a surveying tool that Cyrus used on the ground, almost like a level, and he would move it along and determined that the earth did curve the opposite direction that was commonly believed. There's a little picture of him setting it up on the beach there to show the earth is freaking hollow. Now this is interesting. Crystal bowl meditation every Monday and Wednesday. That is interesting here at a state park. Oh well. Alright, thank you for joining me here at the Koreshan State Park. It's a really interesting history. I don't know of any other cult compound that have been converted into a state park and preserved in their original form, but they were, you know, they were a nice cult. They were not the sort of cult that does devilish, evil, Manson-like things. A true fascinating history. Is now also the breeding ground of the gopher tortoise, so don't step on any eggs while you're here. Appreciate you guys watching. Please like, subscribe, share. Check that link in the description. It'll show you all the different places I've been. If you'd like to help out with the channel, you can purchase a t-shirt down below. Also, if you donate at least $3 on Patreon, I'd be happy to send you postcards while I'm out and about on my journeys. And for now, this one's in the bag. There's a gopher tortoise crossing the road. Oh, this guy's gonna give it a little boost. There you go. Good work.